everyone, I'm delighted to be able to have the opportunity to present in front of you today. Did you know that over 46 million people in the United States alone live with some form of a mobile disability? In fact, that is 1 in 7 Americans, and I am one of them. My name is Jada, a rising junior from La Cañada High School in California. In my free time, I'm a competitive speech and debater, as well as a part of my school's ASB. In addition to this, I'm also a part of the Student Advisory Board for the Los Angeles County Department of Education. But what a lot of people don't know about me is that I actually live with cerebral palsy. But what exactly is cerebral palsy? Well, let's break it down. Cerebral means something to have to do with the brain, and palsy means a weakness or problems with using the muscles. And so what I like to say to people is that cerebral palsy is a neurological condition that, for me, affects my muscle tone and movement in my legs and feet. But on a broader spectrum, cerebral palsy means that it's a condition that affects a person's ability to move or maintain posture and balance. And in fact, cerebral palsy is one of the most common motor disabilities in childhood. But when we talk about mobile disabilities or motor disabilities, the real question comes down to what exactly are those? Well, a mobility impairment or mobility disability is a disability that affects movement ranging from gross motor skills such as walking to fine motor skills such as manipulating objects by hand. And so when we look at this broad definition, it can be seen and manifested in so many different forms. For example, people can use walking sticks to get around easier, or walkers to function and get around again easier, or people use wheelchairs as a form of mobility. For me, who can walk and function without any aids, usually for long distances, I use an e-scooter. But sometimes when people look at people with disabilities, they kind of see a cookie cutter definition of, hey, if this person doesn't have a mobility device or doesn't have a wheelchair, for example, then they can't be disabled. To me, I like to think myself as an example of diversity within the disabled community. In fact, that no matter where you are, what someone's doing, or when something happens, mobile disabilities will continue to impact not only how one interacts with each other and other people, but complete certain tasks with or without an adaptive tool. And so a lot of these stigmas and stereotypings around disabilities and the validity of disabilities has actually been extremely hard. And it's been hard for a few ways. The first is for being treated differently. This is a photo of my brother and I, and at a ripe age, an appropriate age of 8, I continue to use a stroller. That's my form of mobility. However, because people didn't understand this and really recognize this, I've been treated differently and endured some comments and some funny looks. And not only this, but also a second factor of why it's been hard is that I've been unable to participate in a lot of activities through sports and other forms that my friends used to participate during therapy, as you can see on your left. This is a photo of a neuro suit that was used in intensive suit therapy in order to get my muscles and walking, rebuilding, and better. So not only with this different treatment, but also unable to go through a lot of the experiences my friends have gone through, it's been overall emotionally challenging. Not only with this lack of kind of quote unquote a childhood, but also these stereotypes thrown around me all the time. These two factors have affected how I see myself when I was younger, and my self-identity made it difficult to actually accept myself. When we think about global health as a whole, it goes beyond the physical. It goes beyond the challenges that people may face physically. It goes into the emotional well-being of others. So when we think about it, the stereotypes and stigmas around disabilities actually affect mental health. But this isn't necessarily only my story to tell. In fact, over 1 billion people, around 15% of the world's population, live with some form of a disability, mobile or not. And in fact, with that 15%, with that 1 billion, in a world where we prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion, with that inequality in not only experiences, but also stereotypes and stigmas, making a change to actually include people is necessary. The director of the National Center of Birth Defects and Developmental Disabilities said, at some point in their lives, most people will either have a disability or know someone who has one. And therefore, learning more about people with disabilities can help us better understand and meet their health needs. That's where Missionfor Mobility comes in. Based on what I experienced firsthand, I founded and I'm the CEO of my nonprofit Missionfor Mobility, which is a nonprofit that youth-led nonprofit that not only empowers but lifts the voice. We do this by creating high school club chapters not only around the nation, but hopefully around the world, as we realize that a disability isn't limited to one region, nor is it limited to one adaptive tool or one diagnosis. We empower and uplift people in a few different ways, specifically 3 ways. Firstly, we raise awareness. By doing presentations like these and educating others on not only topics, but issues people with disabilities face, we can raise awareness on the types of issues we need to tackle at hand. By having that awareness and education in the back of our minds, we can therefore build compassion. We can not only build compassion and empathy, which goes beyond just saying, I relate to you. It goes into, I can want to help you because I can relate to you, because I know what you feel like. Therefore, by building compassion, people can create a supportive network of people to talk to and learn from based off the awareness that they've already had. And with these 2 ideas in mind, awareness and compassion, one can finally advocate for change. By wanting to help others through building compassion and based what people already learned on raising awareness, advocating for change is a way to be a part of an active conversation. Missionfor Mobility has been planning fundraising campaigns and social media campaigns with our different chapters to achieve this goal, to achieve an accessible environment, a supportive environment for all people. And when we think about accessibility, one of my collaborators, as well as one fellow disability advocate, Erin Noon-Kay, once said, accessibility is not an add-on. It takes thought and human connection to truly create accessible places. So when we think about creating these accessible places, we want to have that thought and human connection. I hope today, through this presentation, you learned a little about what that human connection would entail and also what needs to be done. So if you're contacting me about our organization or just the work and topics I've discussed in general, you can reach us here or I'll put the links in the chat. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have an amazing day.